Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. Wanted to make a video on this, and this is something I've given some thought to in the past. And it's in regards to dinosaurs. And if you've watched The Lost History of Flat Earth, I think it touches on dinosaurs and about how they were fabricated or they weren't really what we're told they were. So my thought process on this has been that dinosaurs are actually dragons, or what we've been led to believe they are throughout history. We called them dragons when they were prevalent. So, dinosaurs, the narrative is that 60 some odd million years ago, that's when they roamed the earth and they died off from some huge mass extinction event. That's where all of the fossil fuels come from, or all the fossils that are in the earth that were converted into oil and, refined now. And that's basically what powers the gasoline industry, the oil industry. But the thing is, I've seen some interesting videos out there, and there's some stuff about volcanoes and how they tie into like this fire that comes from inside the earth. And some of these volcanoes actually look like dragon formations that are out there. So one of the things you can do is you can go back to Scripture. Always go back to Scripture. That's what I tell most people. You go back to Scripture and see what Scripture says. Well, dragons are in, I think they're in the King James like over 30 times now. Now, some people may say, yeah, that's a Mandela effect. However, I remember dragons being in there before, because there was mention of the dragon in Revelation, and there's other tie-ins throughout some Scripture. But Isaiah 27:1 says, in that day that Yahuwah basically casts down Leviathan or destroys Leviathan and slays the dragon that is in the sea. So Leviathan is referenced. I do remember that before Mandela effect changes. Psalm 74, verses 13 through 14. Thou breakest the heads of the dragons in the waters, and gavest him to be meat to the people. Now, again, this could be allegory. It's starting to sound like it's not, because it's talking about physical creatures that are in the sea. Now, I believe both of these references were from the sea. However, you do have the reference in Job, again, Job 41, out of his mouth go burning lamps, his breath kindleth coals. So the dragon is basically a fire-breathing sea creature, which, again, you have all of these old world maps that have these weird-looking sea serpents, and I'll try to put one up on the screen right now. These sea dragons that are in these maps. Then you get to the Scripture that's not in our Bibles now, specifically that which was part of the apocryphal text, the Bel and the dragon, which I think it was like actually part of Daniel, maybe Daniel 13. I want to say in the Septuagint is where it's actually still found, but I have a Sefer. The Sefer actually includes it as its own separate book. So in it talks about, we can say Daniel 14:22. There was a great dragon which they of Babylon worship. Now, this is an actual physical dragon that they were worshiping. And the king basically tells Daniel, like, you need to kill it, but kill it not using anything. Like, you can't use any weapons. I'm not going to give you a sword or anything like that. So Daniel 14:26 says, Daniel took pitch and fat and hair and did seethe them together and put them in the dragon's mouth. So the dragon burst in sunder. So he basically concocts this chemical compound, shoves it into the dragon's mouth, and the dragon eats it and basically blows up. He basically puts a stop or a cork or something on the dragon, in the dragon's mouth, to make the dragon blow up. That's literally what happens. And that was scripture. That was scripture from the Septuagint. It's found in, it's not really in a lot of like the actual canon now, but again, there's other stuff, Enoch, Jasher, Jubilees, that's not in the canon, that we still look at as scripture that can be used for our own good. So getting back to the dragons and dinosaurs, you can get into some of the actual dinosaurs. There's different ones that have different properties to them. Ankylosaurus, armor plates, club tail, and I'll try to put some of these up on the screen. The pteranodon, it's a winged flying reptile. Isaiah does mention, I think it's Isaiah 30. It talks about a viper and the fiery flying serpent. Again, a fiery flying serpent. I don't know, that sounds like a flying dragon to me. And then there's Behemoth as well, Job 40. He eateth grass as an ox, moveth his tail like a cedar. His bones are like bars of iron. Again, these sound like dinosaurs or dragons. And there could be a distinction too. There are some that are grass-eating dinosaurs. We call them the herbivores, and then there's the omnivores, and then there's the carnivores. So again, all of these are not. There is some argument to be made about the corruption of the creation itself, but for the purposes of this, we're just looking at them as potentially dragons. And then we get to like stuff out of scripture, so stuff away from maybe just typical scriptural stuff. You get into actual cultural references. You do have in Babylon, Marduk versus Tiamat, where Marduk slays the dragon Tiamat, who's a massive sea-dwelling serpent. Again, sea-dwelling serpent. In China, you do have the imperial dragons. China is very, very heavy in dragon lore, dragon culture. Basically, that they were. There are first century historians that have seen. They write about dragons being spotted in the rivers, and you do have the zodiac as well. The dragon is apparently the only animal that's a fictional, quote-unquote, animal on the zodiac. Native American rock art, you have the Kachina Bridge. I believe I said that right. There's petroglyphs now showing a long-necked, four-legged animal. And I'm going to try to get images of all of these and put them up. Very similar to a brontosaurus. Dates less than 1,000 years old. So how would they know what a brontosaurus would even look like for 1,000 years old? In Europe, there is some 13th century lore about St. George going around slaying dragons that lives in caves and terrorized the villages. In Cambodia, Angkor Wat, basically they have a temple there that has carvings of a creature that appears to be a stegosaurus. Again, this is, I believe that was 186 AD. So, Herodotus in 5th century BC. There's a place in Arabia where I saw bones of winged serpents. So again, more evidence of potential creatures that resembled dinosaurs that we would say, well, maybe might have been dragons. They called them dragons. So you got dragons in scripture. You've got dragons in a global cultural memory. But then you have dragons being rebranded as dinosaurs in 1842. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards the little season theory. And I say it's a theory because it's just a theory that's the time that we're living in right now. And for it to have changed in 1842 and gone to dinosaurs, which support the evolutionary mindset that the earth is millions and millions of years old, I think there's a possibility that maybe, just maybe, dinosaurs are dragons. So, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Again, I'll try to do my best with some of the images with this and what I can find and pull. I've done a little bit of research on this video in case you can't tell. But yeah. Anyway, guys, take care. God bless.